Greetings everyone, I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. You just have from the title up there, continuing my trek through the episodes of Very Well Loved Raymond, one season and one episode at a time. For this week's one, I just want to apologize. It's coming in a little bit later, but technical issues. This thing not wanting me to log in other than using the keyboard for the screen, and then some other issues, and it just randomly started working when I got on the internet. Go figure with technology. Now, the last couple episodes, I've been pleasantly surprised at how much I've enjoyed them, even though I remember enjoying these ones a lot. And I've been wondering, are we going to start to feel a little bit more of the fatigue? Because previous season, like I've said a couple times already, you could tell that the show has kind of stayed a little bit longer than it probably should have, but with the addition of Amy and her parents as more regular recurring characters, you do get a little bit of that shot in the arm. Then there's a couple times that you're like, yeah. With this episode, I'm starting to feel that a little bit more. So I'm going to say now I'm happy this season actually. Excuse me. Happy that it's a shorter season. This, of course, is episode 3 of season 9. This is Angry Sex. This is from a teleplay by Lou Schneider. So even one of the regular screenwriters can't make me love this episode more than I kind of like it. Now, to say it's an alright episode, it has some moments, but I will say as a whole, and I know you've heard me say this multiple times regarding other incidents, this is definitely an idea they probably should have used earlier in the show, because then it would probably fix my one main little gripe that keeps me from loving it. Because this episode as a whole is just like that's an okay time waster. If I'm watching the whole season, I'll watch it. But if I'm going back just to watch a couple episodes from this season, I'm probably going to watch the first 2 and then a couple of the other ones throughout the rest of the show that I like this season, and then go away. Because if I'm going to be honest, I'm looking at a lot of these names and what I remember the plots being. This one and the next 2, not really a big fan of. And then we get to voice therapy. It's 200th episode, one of my favorites. Debra's parents was a decent one. Job for Robert, I remember the premise, but not really much about the episode other than the little joke later on once everyone knows. Next couple ones I don't really remember that much. Tasteless Frank I remember a little bit. Next 2, and actually next 3 I don't remember. And the finale, that one I remember a little bit more. Now, the plot of this episode is that Ray likes what he's getting in the bedroom, as the title should imply. And it is caused by Marie being, I'm not going to sugarcoat it in this one, she's being her usual busybody, bitchy self to Debra, and it drives Debra up the wall to the point where when she gets done with Ray, it's essentially, any other context, it'd be death by snoo-snoo, to put it appropriately. And Ray's liking the ride he is going on, to put it in a dirty-minded context. Now, Ray, at the beginning of the episode, he is really excited because all the signs that he's probably going to get some from Debra are there. Shaved her legs, some other things, and he's trying to shoo everybody out. But Marie ends up coming in and seemingly ruins it with her usual busybody comments, which, this is a little side note, this is one aspect of it that I'm like, because by this point in the show, Marie being reset to factory default at the end of each episode without any lasting repercussions, and doesn't take away from Doris Roberts' performance. I think part of that is that, but it's the writing is the other part in which I will really complain about it. It's just not as exciting. First couple seasons, until past the midpoint of the show, I could tolerate it, but this late in the show, with all the character development episodes we've seen from Marie, all the heart-to-hearts she had with the different characters, it's really lost a lot of its luster. And all that I can really say that's good about it is Doris Roberts' performance with it. She does what she can with a lot of this material. I mean, she gets another Emmy nod this season, but here it's like, Oh my God, Marie. Like I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times more. In real life, a character like this, if she's not cut off by her family are the ones drinking the freaking Kool-Aid. Not even real Kool-Aid, the knockoff Kool-Aid you can get from Dollar Tree. 100 for $1. Now, her usual comments to Debra. Piss Debra off. Now, Ray, of course, he's like, no, and he's trying to right the boat. He does, and he gets, as the title suggests, angry sex, and he loves it. He's telling the boys a little bit of it, and he is trying to steer the boat in the right direction to get some more, but what he's trying to do is to do that without spoiling his fun. Like, he doesn't want Debra and Marie to be talking to each other right away. Like, he tells Marie that she's sick, he doesn't want to talk, stay away. And of course, with Debra, makes it seem like Marie did not apologize like she did for her usual comments, and that really makes Debra even more mad, which of course leads to some more fun. Now, this part, to do my little other sidebar, kind of shows why I'm not the biggest fan of Ray's plot in here, and why I feel an episode like this would have worked better earlier in the show, when Ray didn't have as much character development on screen. I mean, he is still a little bit of a man-child at points, but he's kind of progressed a little bit, or as much as the factory default for the most part at the end of each episode will allow him to go. But something like this is like season 1 to maybe season 5 Ray, 6 if you really want to push it. But I feel like earlier seasons Ray would do something like this. Probably season 1 or 2, if I'm going to be honest. Definitely season 1. I mean, he's the one that took the whole ring thing. But this far into the show and into his marriage with Debra, it just doesn't strike me as something he'd do this far in. But I guess they're really trying to show the man-child side of him here. And it's one of those things that makes me frankly want to go to his fridge and write in the letters, Ray stinks. But like with Frank, it's not going to say stinks. It's going to say something else. Because it's like, wow. I'm not going to go as far and say it's as bad as what Robert did in a certain season 6 episode, which will remain nameless right now, but you all know which one I'm talking about. But when it comes to Ray wanting to get to experience sexual nirvana with his wife, this is the lowest he stoops to, and it's to the point where if everyone who watches this episode wants to grab their chanclas and go and beat the shit out of him, I do not regret you. Because I'd probably be holding him and be like, hit him harder, hit him harder. And I didn't check to see if there's a commentary on this one. If there is, I should have watched it before this, because I would love to know what Ray Romano thinks of this episode. Now, probably from a comedic standpoint, he kind of likes it, but even with the comedic standpoint, looking at it in the storytelling aspect, there's only so much you can do with it. And of course, Ray does get a comeuppance once his family finds out, and it's the usual shunning. Of course, given the nature of it, it's all going to be factory reset by the end of the episode anyway, so it's one of those ones that's like Ray's not going to really get any long-term consequences. Well, really, unless you count what happens to him briefly in the finale as long-term consequences, because just looking at the rest of these episodes, there's not really going to be much bad coming down the pipe. Now, if they had decided to really make this last season dark and have an episode where Ray and Debra got divorced, that would have been a long-term consequence. Well, actually, there's one other thing that involves his eyes in a certain episode, I guess you could say, as a consequence, and it's like, there's a payment there, but we'll get to that bridge and talk about it in a couple episodes' time. Now, even though I've been lambasting it, there are a couple of jokes and moments throughout the episode that got a chuckle out of me, which is why I say it's a time waster of one. I mean, I can see myself just randomly watching it more than I would the episode that will not be named. But it's definitely one that, yeah, it's not going to make the best love list, and other than probably season marathon rewatches, I'm probably not going to watch it ever again. Unless somebody's curiously like, why'd you rate it that low? Here's why. Now, next episode is going to be PTNA. And without looking at a synopsis, and I don't have it in front of me, I have no memory of what this episode's about. At least the title for one after that, I can kind of remember what it's about. But this one, no, unless this is the one involving the Parent-Teacher Association and with how Debra is dressing. I think it might be that. But either way, that's going to be for next time. Till then, everybody.